Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode here on your favorite sports talk show, Under Pressure. I'm your host, Nick Presto. Joining alongside me, as always, co-producer Billy Griffith, and we have Ben DeVito and Dylan McLaughlin joining us today. Guys, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this. Always a pleasure.
Okay, I don't know if anybody just saw anything I just did right there, but I started throwing hands because me and Ben are settling this right here, right now. The best sports talk show is Under Pressure. No doubt about it. I don't know what you're going to say right now. Okay? The extra point isn't even there. Bro, first round knockout.
We've been airing for 25 years. I mean, this is your second episode. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think this is competition. I think
our second.
What?
This is not our second.
This is actually our fifth, but due to technical difficulties, none of them have aired. So this might be our first airing episode.
See, there you go. So you can't claim that you got the best show when it hasn't even aired yet. But
let's take a poll.
you guys could get there. Don't worry about it. It's possible.
Yeah,
but right
let's take a
now-
poll. Let's take a poll. Seniority.
All right. It's your show, so I'll let you guys be. It's your show. I'll let you guys be. But you do got to check out Extra Point. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The Extra Point is another fantastic show we have here at Monmouth, produced by Ben DeVito.
Yeah, all jokes aside, take a look at Extra Point. Extra Point is the wave, but we're here for Under Pressure. That's the only reason you're here listening. You want to hear Under Pressure. So
We're the best. I know. But anyway, let's just get right on into it with our first topic here today. Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, one of the most watched TV events happened in the sports world of basketball, and that is the NBA Draft 2020. Of course, as we know, it's unfortunate that it had to be virtual instead of in person, but you make do what you got to do. And they still put together a fantastic draft. It was great. Had a lot of fun watching it. But let's just go right on into it with the top 3 picks in the draft being exactly who everyone thought they would be: Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, and LaMelo Ball. But one of them in particular I want to highlight and talk about for a minute with you guys: LaMelo Ball. Brother Lonzo's in the league, LiAngelo's in the G League, and now here comes LeVar Ball's third prodigal son in LaMelo being the third overall pick in Charlotte. But do you guys think he's going to have a much tougher road to starting, especially, and getting real playing time alongside Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham in Charlotte?
Okay, so I'm going to say this because I was very adamant about this on the watch along on Go Talk here on Hawk TV. But from what I was saying on that show, and I'm going to point it out again, this had to be the worst fit in the entire draft for for LaMelo Ball. This was the worst possible team. They're already a guard-heavy team. They just signed Terry Rozier last offseason to a pretty solid big contract, and it's a small market team. LaMelo needs to be in the spotlight, and Charlotte is not going to give him any bit of that spotlight. It's obviously going to take it's not going to be a long road to get to the starting job because, as we all know, he's honestly, I feel, the best prospect in this draft. It's very arguable. Anthony Edwards is another guy, but talent standpoint, I'd say LaMelo is the best, and it's not going to be long till he gets the starting job. However, it doesn't matter because he's going to be wasting his career in Charlotte if he doesn't get out of there. And my prediction, he gets out of there in 2 years.
You think it's a Kemba Walker situation?
It's going to be a Kemba Walker situation, but way quicker. He's going to realize soon enough that he's got to get out of there. You know that LeVar does not want him there. He wants his son on a big money team, a big market team. He wanted him on the Knicks. And that's why, again, I was saying I thought the Knicks were going to trade up for the second pick, which they didn't. They drafted Obi Toppin with the 8th pick, but that's a great pick. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about LaMelo Ball. I think the Knicks were the best fit for him, and unfortunately, he got drafted to the worst possible fit for him.
I think the wave of the New York Jets somehow became so big and powerful that it smacked Charlotte in the face. That was the worst decision in my mind for them to get him, like LaMelo Ball. I do not think he's really a good fit right now. I think they're realistically picking up someone who they already have even people who are already in the league who are going to play better from the start in my mind. I think they could have gotten someone who could be an easily standout starting five, or they could have gotten someone who would join that starting five. But now you have someone who might randomly switch on and off between his playing time. Now then again, you look at LaMelo, he is a completely different person than when he blew up on social media years ago. LaMelo is a very strong and matured player. You can see it in his play style. He's not that first shoot from 45 yards out. This dude is actually making proper plays. So he's a good player. I think Charlotte is the New York Jets, and they're doing something horrible in picking him. I think they could have made a much better decision personally.
Even though we're not talking about the NFL, you still got to bring my Jets into it.
We always got to bring the Jets into everything because they're the laughing stock of the sports world.
If you're gonna look at something and say that was a horrible move, when you looked at the NFL and you looked at what Green Bay did when they drafted Jordan Love, people basically said, "Oh my gosh, is that the Jets?" Dude, whenever it's a bad move, they say, "Is it the Jets?" That was a bad move in my mind.
It's always got to go back to the heads. It always. Well, I think LaMelo Ball is going to be a good player. I think some people think that he's going to be a better scorer than Lonzo, and I don't think that necessarily will be the case early on in his career. I think he, right now, if you looked at his stats in Australia, he's not as good of a shooter as people think he is. I really think his brother is a better shooter than he is right now. I mean, and that's saying something. I like him as a player, but I don't think Charlotte's a fit. I don't think Charlotte is the personnel fit. I think he needs to be on a team that has more pieces, some athletic bigs, more shooters. I don't think Charlotte was the right.
And not only that, but I genuinely feel I agree with you guys. I feel like Charlotte definitely was not the best fit for him. But shifting gears a little bit, if you want to talk about another player that might not have been the best fit, may have been the best fit, but there's a little controversy behind him. I don't think it's going to matter too much, but it raised a little questions. And that's with number 1 overall pick Anthony Edwards. The guy literally openly said that if he got drafted to play in the NFL right now, he'd drop basketball in a heartbeat and go play in the NFL. Does that raise some questions, thinking maybe that this guy's work ethic might not be completely there and he might not be as devoted to the game of basketball? Does that raise a problem in Minnesota?
It's like what I would do in NBA 2K when I wouldn't want to play for a team. I would just say, "Yeah, no, I'm not feeling the NBA." It's a very touchy subject because on one hand, like I was saying earlier, I think Edwards and LaMelo were 2 of the best players in this draft, and it was obviously proven by both them being drafted in the top 3. But if his work ethic continues to be like this, I don't know how he's going to pan out. Because if he does pan out how we all imagine him to be, Minnesota is somewhat of a threat when he progresses. But like I was saying, if he cannot keep this work ethic up, if he can't keep this work ethic up, he's not going to pan out, and that's unfortunate because he's a great talent.
Well, personally, when I think of just that idea of being such a outstanding player and an outstanding athlete itself, that he basically has options. He's basically saying like, hey, I am an athlete. I have always been an athlete, and I am really good at it. People could even say I have the capability to make the NFL. That's kind of what's going through his mind. I think he's going to stick with the sport of basketball, of course. I think everybody has that mentality, but I think no matter what he ends up doing, he's still going to be a beast. There's a reason he got drafted 1st overall. There's a reason he's been a standout all throughout high school and now while he played in college. The dude is an animal. I think personally it might be a problem within Minnesota for the amount of effort he'll have, depending, if like he just decides, oh, I don't want to do this, and just leaves. Because, you see that with many players where they play for a period of time and they say, I'm over it. I made my money. I made my cash. I'm out. That could be the problem, if anything. Maybe he would leave in that manner, but I personally thought of, like, when he was saying something in regards to that, I personally thought that you know, he's just talking about him being an athlete. He's talking about his own career and him making decisions for himself. That's what he's going to do throughout the long term. I think he's a great first overall pick, and I think he's a great player.
Yeah, no doubt, but it does still raise some questions, though. Why would you, if you draft a number 1 overall guy, you want them to be committed 100%. There's a reason you drafted them first overall. You want them to be 100% with the sport. So as much as just saying he's an athlete, it should raise some questions. It shouldn't be too major, but it could be major if this continues.
Dylan, what do you have to say about it?
I think there's a certain level of dedication when you get to that next level. The fact that he was kind of talking about, oh, I could go play football. I could have done that. Like, I don't know if the way he was talking about football being his first love and I would go play football right away. Do I think he's going to be a bad player? No. But do I think if you want to be an elite caliber player, there's a different attitude that you have to have. These top-notch guys, they're dedicated to their craft every day. They spend millions of dollars on their body. They're in the gym every day. And, that's the question. Is he going to take his game to the next level? We know he's a great player, but is he going to be an elite guy in the NBA?
That's very true.
Yeah, I think it's personally going to affect long-term over short-term, of course. That short-term when he plays, he's going to be an outstanding player, but you're going to see the difference between a good player and a great player. That common saying. You really are going to see it with him because he could realistically give up on this so-called passion he has right now because he has something greater than that. And even if he doesn't make it into like that situation, personally I think of like Tim Tebow. That man ended up, getting into baseball. And yeah, he might not be an MLB all-star compared to how he played when he was playing football, but like that could happen. It does happen. So again, it's probably going to be more of a long-term effect with this draft pick. You're not really going to see an issue within these first 3-4 years in my mind. I think it's going to be later on where you're going to see a problem.
Honestly, it makes me a little upset because I wish he didn't say those comments. Not upset, but it makes me question him a lot more than what I would, because in all seriousness, there is one NBA all-star, possibly on the borderline of becoming a superstar in the near future, in another 2 or 3 years. He really reminds me of Donovan Mitchell's game a lot. And if he can blossom into the type of player Donovan Mitchell is, the Timberwolves are going to be a very scary playoff team. But is that worth it?
I also think,
what's up?
I think this was definitely a three-player draft. It was definitely Edwards, Wiseman, and Ball. And I think Minnesota, they drafted based off of what they needed. They needed a forward. They needed a guy like Edwards. They already have Towns. They already have D'Angelo Russell. That's why I think they drafted Edwards.
Oh, for sure. I honestly just hope he devotes himself more to basketball and actually leaves football a little bit to the side now, because now he is officially the number 1 overall pick, signed the contract. He's in Minnesota playing basketball. But aside from the two of them, there was also the third guy that we did not mention, the number 2 overall pick being James Wiseman, who only played 3 games in college and just sat out for the rest of it and declared himself the NBA draft to get himself ready. He learned from one of the NBA's all-time greats in Penny Hardaway, and I think he's definitely the best possible fit for the Warriors. And I think the Warriors never even rebuilt in the first place. This past year was more of a reload for them. Now they have Curry back. Unfortunately, we all saw what happened to Klay Thompson. We'll get to that in a little bit. And now they add James Wiseman, who's a great starting center.
And Kelly Oubre.
Not the starting 5.
They added Kelly Oubre as well. But
yes, great. We'll
the way I see this
trades in a little bit.
Yeah, the way I see this Warriors pick is this. They want to come back and they want to contend and they want to win what's rightfully theirs, and that's the NBA championship. As much as Wiseman's a great player, I don't think this was the right move. I feel like they should have traded out for a more established center. You know why? No, don't get me wrong. Wiseman's a phenomenal player, and I do think he's going to be great in his future. But for what the Warriors need him for, this is not the time. This is not his time.
I see a type of AD in Wiseman.
Yes, but that takes time to progress. He's not going to come out of the gates being Anthony Davis. The Warriors need a big in the paint to defend a guy like Anthony Davis in the Western Conference Finals. And they need somebody who's established and who can defend him. Wiseman is not that guy right there. If they want to progress Wiseman, go right ahead, but that's going to waste Curry's prime. And by the time Wiseman gets to his prime, Curry's out of it. So I feel like they should have traded for a more established center, because if they traded for a more established center, then they would be able to make this push again, because right now the West is as hard as it's ever been. So, and the Warriors, without Klay Thompson, it's already going to be a tough road. So they needed a established star in the paint that would be able to defend these big guys like Anthony Davis. So as much as I do like the Wiseman pick, it's a great fit for him. It's just for what the Warriors need him for. I don't think this was the right time.
Ben, give me an example of an established.
Well, I don't know who would trade. I don't know who they would have traded with. I'm just saying they need an established guy. He doesn't have to be a star, but they need an established guy to win championships.
Are you talking like a Steven Adams?
I think
maybe like a guy like Steven Adams, but I don't think the Warriors. I don't think.
Or like a Clint Capella.
I think with the Warriors,
like that kind of guy, a guy who can defend and a guy who can already make an impact right away for the Warriors. I don't think Wiseman's going to make it as quick as an impact as people think. And I will be wrong on this. I feel like I will be wrong. But right now, this is what I'm thinking.
See, but
the
Warriors
need a guy who can jump in right away and help them win a championship. And I don't think Wiseman's that guy. They need to progress him a little more. And Wiseman's going to be a star. And I'm not saying he's not. But he's not going to be one right away like some guys have been.
What's crazy is when you think about what Ben just said there, I can't even say like he's wrong. I think he's right, but I think there's another way you can also look at it. With Wiseman, Wiseman is a really solid player, and with the team, with the stars that they have right now, with Steph, having him build with Steph, having him being a part of maybe that starting five would be huge for the offense, and having that young, strong guy who basically resembles Anthony Davis. He's coming out of college. This man has the agility. He's shorter than like a Kristaps Porzingis. He's shorter. He's going to have more mobility inside the paint. The dude's going to be a strong player. I don't think this was a bad pick. I think if they didn't,
I don't think it was.
Yeah,
either.
I think
the Warriors could have done better.
They could have done better by trading out, but they did really good by picking him up, in my mind. I think he's going to do really well on that team. I think he's going to fit well with the offense. And I think if you're going to try, yes, you have Steph, but I think you should take that draft pick and try and build that offense, build the defense, kind of build that entire team and have it grow. And, when Steph leaves, at least you'll have someone in that solid center position who's kind of grown with Steph, as well as Klay when he ends up coming back.
Well, the talk about an established player is interesting because you see it more and more every year, and especially in this draft, college performance really doesn't matter. I mean, Wiseman played 3 games in college. If you think about it, the Knicks got 2 guys that were in the running for the Wooden Award, Obi Toppin and Miles Powell, who's from Seton Hall. They got him undrafted, and that guy was could have been the college player of the year last year. So I think their thought on Wiseman is, okay, what if this guy is an Anthony Davis type in year 2 and year 3? Okay, and Steph is still here. I think that's the way they're looking at it, instead of looking at it as, okay, let's sign Steven Adams. He's not going to really be able to do much against Anthony Davis. You're looking at just a middle-of-the-pack type of season and an early exit from the playoffs if they do that. I think they're trying to take a chance, at getting a guy who can be a difference maker.
And don't get me wrong, he will be. For what the Warriors need him for now, I don't think it's the best fit, because they want to win, because they don't want to waste Curry's prime anymore. Curry's got, I would say, another 4 or 5 years in his prime. He's 31. I would say another 5 years in his prime.
I hate to say it, but I just think the Warriors, their window's gone. I hate to say.
But here's
But
the
I
thing:
think
if
their
they
window's
if they traded out and got a guy, and then let's say they traded with the Bulls for the fourth pick, they trade the Bulls. I would say they get the second pick, and the Bulls get the second pick, and then the Bulls get the fourth pick. They trade the fourth pick and Wendell Carter Jr. Some guy like that, you know. And then they draft Obi Toppin with the fourth pick. There you go. You already got two. You got a young, promising guy, a center in Wendell Carter, and then you got Obi Toppin, like you said, who's one of the Wooden Award finalists, and he won it. So if that's the case, if they want to be smart with it, they should have done that, but they didn't. So I think if they had that opportunity, there was the opportunity for their window to still be open, but because they drafted Wiseman, I feel like the window became a little slimmer, and they're not going to win. It's simple as that. If they traded out, it's possible they could have won. It's possible they could have made it to the Western Conference Finals. Especially with Clay out, they need a second guy because Draymond's not that guy. Wiggins is not that guy. Kelly Oubre is not that guy. They needed a second guy who can perform on the floor and who can be that second guy to help Steph get to the Western Conference Finals, because I don't think they're going to beat the Lakers. Simple as that. But just get to that point, because Steph is arguably the best player in the league and the best point guard in the league. So wasting his prime now because they want to groom a guy like Wiseman, I just don't think it's smart.
Now, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here. I think you guys are wrong with James Wiseman's comparison. I don't view him as an Anthony Davis type of player at all. I think he's going to take an absolute
I don't see him as an Anthony Davis type player. I never said that. I just said he's a good caliber player.
But I see him developing into a Hall of Fame. Not a Hall of Fame, but I compare him to a future Hall of Fame center. I compare him to Orlando Magic Dwight Howard. That's my comparison for James Wiseman. He brings the rim protection that this team has been desperately needing for a long time. An actual established big guy center that's going to bang bodies down low in the paint and really take away from the shooters of just stretching the floor, how the Warriors love to do things. And I believe that Wiseman's going to be a great rebounder. He's going to clean up a lot of misses, put them right back up and slam them. I like him a lot. I think this was definitely the best move for the Warriors because now they have their established center who I think is going to grow. And I think he is going to jump right into the starting lineup. And I think he's going to possibly be in contention for Rookie of the Year. I'm going to even go that far and say that.
I agree with that. I agree with that heavy, actually. I think he has a great shot at Rookie of the Year.
I agree with that, too. I'm just saying, my point is this. Wiseman's a great player, and he's going to become, I would say, an all-star. But for what the Warriors need him now, he's not the fit. In a couple years, he's going to be great for them.
I think he is.
For right now.
Yeah, I think he's the glove. I think
he is
I'm gonna go with what Presto said and ask you guys a question. I'm gonna go with the opposite of what Ben's saying the Warriors should do, and that's build around Curry. Is it completely impossible that in a year or two they say, okay, what if we
build around
trade Steph for picks and we build around?
Yeah.
That happens.
Yup.
In today's NBA, building around the center is not great.
Because without Clay, there's already such a gap between everybody in the Lakers. Without Clay, what if they're not doing anything, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
It really hurts. But yes. The one last thing I want to get into with the NBA, free agency has been crazy. New signings, new players joining new teams, the trades that have been going on. Unfortunately, we had the very saddening Klay Thompson Achilles tear injury, which we all send him the best. I'm sure everybody. You can't hate Klay Thompson. You can hate Steph. You can hate KD, but I know a lot of people that love Klay Thompson.
Absolutely.
Aside from that, I wanted to ask each of the three of you to give me your favorite trade that has happened in these last few days. Your favorite trade of it could be anything. Your favorite player got traded, your favorite team made a trade, or someone that you like a trade that you think is just going to be amazing to watch and see.
All right, I'll go first.
Ben, you got
George,
it. Go first.
I would say Drew Holiday to the Bucks. I feel like that's a great fit for them. But I don't think the Bucks won the trade. I think the Pelicans won.
The Pelicans won that trade.
The Pelicans won that trade. They robbed the Bucks. The Bucks gave up way too much. 3 first-rounders and 2 pick swaps for Drew Holiday. It's just not like he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's a great player. I just feel like he's a little overvalued in this league.
I think that
five first-rounders in essence for Drew Holiday plus Eric Bledsoe and George Hill is outrageous.
Yeah.
It's blasphemous, honestly. It really is.
It should have been Bledsoe. In my opinion, it should have been Bledsoe and 1 pick. That's it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
All right, guys, I'm going to put this right here, right now.
The Bucks just blew up their future because Giannis is leaving. I don't see him staying. The Bucks are not a contender. As much as people think they're a contender, they can't get past the second round or the conference finals. They just don't have enough assets to win. And by trading all these picks for 1 player is not going to be smart for them when Giannis leaves for a big market team like the Miami Heat. Well, we're not going to get into that. But I think the Pelicans definitely won the trade, 100%.
Billy, what were you going to say?
All right, I'm just going to say this right now, and it didn't happen within the first couple of days, and you guys definitely all know what's going on, but I just got to say this right now because I'm a huge 76ers fan. Best thing that has occurred happened August 24th. Can anybody tell me what that is?
Are you talking about how James Harden might go to the Philadelphia 76ers?
No,
first of all,
Glenn Rivers.
First of all, I got to say I like that, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I also heard some talk about, like, Rajon Rondo. I don't know if he ended up signing anywhere yet because who even cares about that dude? But if he ended up ever getting signed to the Sixers, why are we signing people who can't shoot the ball? Okay, besides the point, firing Brett Brown was a great decision. He was awful with the 76ers. He could not create lineups that were smart, like beneficial at all, that would actually help them win games. And honestly, they could have gotten so much further in the playoffs, and I think it was because of the coaching that completely ruined their chances, as well as injuries, but that's kind of how I feel about the entire situation. So I'm going to talk about my favorite team. I'm going to talk about the Sixers, and I think the best thing happened in August when we fired the awful Brett Brown.
And also, you can't forget, you guys also traded away Al Horford's terrible contract.
Yeah.
For terrible Danny Green.
Yeah, well, that's actually what I was just about to talk about.
That was the dumbest trade.
Because I know Al Horford has a big contract, but giving away a 1 and a 2 for Danny Green, I did not like that at all. That plays right into what OKC was wanting to do and just get a bunch. I think that's a highway robbery.
It is.
OKC has like 1 million draft picks in the next 5 years.
It's 18 until 2027.
There you go.
They have 18 first rounders until 2027.
Wow.
But yeah, Dylan, any other trades that you think might have been the talk of the, not even the talk of the league, but something that really stood out to you?
Well, I saw a meme yesterday, right? And it was talking about how, the NBA people just give away first rounders because I think it was Houston that traded Robert Covington and got a first rounder, and it was like, oh, Houston traded away Hopkins and couldn't even get a first rounder. He's the best receiver in football. I just think it's crazy the value of first round pick in the NBA compared to to other leagues, to the NFL. You know how much you got to give up a lot to get a first round pick in the NFL, and I mean they're just handing them out in the NBA. It's unbelievable.
You're absolutely right. That's a great point you bring up, actually.
Yeah, I've never thought about that really.
Like Ben pointed out before, the Drew Holiday trade of 4 first round picks for this guy.
Five.
No team in the NFL, 4 or 5, yeah. No team in the NFL is trading 4 or 5 first round picks for anybody. I don't think a team would give up 4 or 5 first round picks from Mahomes. Okay?
No.
It is honestly crazy to see how undervalued draft picks are, I feel like, in the NBA.
Which is crazy because the NBA is so valuable. Like, their draft picks are so. That's what I'm saying. You realistically, unless you trade up from previous years, you have 2 players that you can really choose from, and then you're trading one of those players away, who's one of the top, who could be technically like top like 60 some in the class. Like,
Let
how?
me give you a great example.
How does that make sense?
Example? Well, let's turn back the clock a little bit on one of my worst trades of all time. The trade, 2013-2014. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Jason Terry to the Nets for our entire future and chump change.
The only reason the Celtics are right now.
Those draft picks turned into Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Markelle Fultz.
Yep.
Like, come on. Like, I know
Yep.
Like, oh, I get it. They were. You wanted to win.
Okay, with all those things, it's going to be a similar type of thing.
And now last year, 2 years ago, we finally got out of that shadow. Now we're definitely out of that shadow as we are a championship contender. And if we get James Harden, we're winning the title.
Not happening. That would ruin the dynamic. But
Well, you know where James Harden's going.
He wants to go to either Philly or Brooklyn.
or Miami.
Hopefully it comes to
His
Philly.
three teams are Philly, Miami, and Brooklyn. I'm not even kidding. Look it up. His three preferred teams. Those are
Miami would be terrible.
Miami would be a terrible fit. I'm just saying. I don't want him at all. I'm just saying that's another destination he wants to go to.
I think Philly's the only fit you can really get behind because they don't have a major score ball dominant.
But real quick, last thing before we end this segment is the trade that I wanted to highlight real quick. And I think it's a very underlooked trade and undervalued. And I think it's going to turn out to possibly the best trade that has been made all free agency and around this time. And that is point guard Chris Paul going to the Phoenix Suns. This man he's still got it. I don't care what anybody says. He's still got it. He's still point guard. He led that Thunder team that everyone thought was going to be a for sure lottery team to the 6th seed in the Western Conference, almost in the top 4. And now you're going to take him and put him on a team with a extremely dynamic, amazing scorer in Devin Booker and a extremely valuable and young and learning still center in DeAndre Ayton. What Chris Paul is going to bring to this Phoenix team is what they've been missing for years, and that's leadership and point guard ability. They had Ricky Rubio last year. Phoenix actually smelled some kind of success compared to their last couple of years because Rubio is actually a decent point guard and better than most people they've had in the last couple of years. But now you want to bring in Chris Paul? I see Phoenix becoming a playoff team. I see Devin Booker asserting himself as one of the best scorers in the league because CP3 is going to draw a lot of attention with the ball, and he's going to set Devin Booker up fantastically. And I think the real winner of this trade, and I'm going to go out and as far and say this, I'm going to make a prediction, and you can quote me on it and stamp it right now because I'm that confident in it.
It's recording, so yeah, obviously it's
here we go. Your 2020, 2021 Most Improved Player Award will go to the man that's going to become a first-time All-Star now this year, averaged 20 points per game and 12 rebounds and probably around 2 blocks a game, DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton is going to benefit insanely from having CP3 as his point guard. He's got a man that's going to run the pick and roll with him. He's going to set him up, dump it down low, and work with him on the post. CP3's been around it his whole life with big men like Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Steven Adams, Clint Capella. We've seen how he is, and now you have this 22-year-old center who looks like he's going to be a fantastic player. Give him one of the great, smartest basketball IQs, point guards, and just leadership ability-wise. I think nobody is going to blossom as great as DeAndre Ayton is going to this year, and it's going to be because of CP3.
Yeah, I can say
You might go out on a limb and say Devin Booker might lead the league in scoring this year. That's how confident I am in Phoenix's abilities this year because of Chris Paul.
I'm going to say OKC, when I watched them in the playoffs, they were a team. They were a team that you had to fight to win. And honestly, I think a lot of people can agree with me. Maybe other people can think otherwise. But CP3 was a main reason for why that team was so fired up every week. they'd go
I
down
think-
by like 2, and somehow they'd be coming back and like whooping.
CP3
Open
led
the
the
floor.
league last year in most clutch shots under 2 minutes.
CP3 is an elite player. I think the Suns made out well, and I think they're going to get good usage out of him this upcoming year. And personally, I really think the Suns finessed within that trade.
I wouldn't say
really
they
think
finessed,
that.
but they did get a lot of value for what they gave up.
Yeah.
They got a guy like CP3. Presto, I don't agree with you in the sense of DeAndre Ayton averaging 20 points and being the most improved. But
Yeah, that's a little interesting, but I think Devin Booker would be a good play. I think he's going to do well with him.
No, don't get me wrong. This is going to benefit DeAndre Ayton immensely, but I don't think he's going to be most improved.
Watch out for that pick and roll game. That's all I'm
No,
saying.
yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. CP3 is going to bring a fire to this team that they never knew they had. This was the last piece they truly needed to become a playoff team because they showed last season in the bubble.
8-0, baby.
They showed what they could do. And to add a point guard with that much basketball knowledge to a bunch of young guys, you have Devin Booker, who's about to hit his prime, Cam Johnson, and you have DeAndre Ayton. This is huge for them. This is exactly what they needed. And then CP3 can help mentor the younger guys. So for when he retires, they're good.
Phoenix
I genuinely think that this is a great move for them. Although giving up Kelly Oubre was kind of upsetting for them in the pure fact of he was progressing very well. But obviously you had to give up assets. So Kelly Oubre was the best option to give up without blowing up the team completely. But regardless, CP3 is a huge asset for Phoenix going forward.
The Phoenix is one of the youngest teams in the NBA. Period.
Yeah.
Average ages, and especially their core.
Oh, absolutely.
The only question about 3 is his health. That's there's nobody's questioning the way he plays. It's just only his health. That was the thing in Houston that prevented them from beating the Warriors. He couldn't stay healthy down the stretch. So
All I'm saying, if CP3 can stay healthy, he's going to mentor the hell out of these young guys and really give them the leader they've been looking for because this is a very young team. I think he's going to bolster them, and I feel like they're definitely a lock for at least the bottom tier of the playoffs, the 7, 8, 9, 10 playoff play-in tournament that the NBA is having this season. I think Phoenix is a lock for at least a play-in tournament. They're going to have a fight. They're going to be fighting for a playoff spot, definitely.
Now, I have a quick question real quick because I got to talk about my 76ers real fast. They're the team. They are the team. But we picked up our first pick in the draft, first round, Tyrese Maxey. This man wakes up at 5:45 in the morning. He goes to his lift. I think he does a basketball workout, then a lift right after, then another basketball workout. This guy can shoot. Is this the Sixers' opportunity to make a play for the chip? Now possibly having a new shooter on the team. The 76ers didn't really have a shooter they could rely on, and now they have someone maybe they can rely on. Is this the time?
Doesn't matter.
You guys
Chemistry on that team is god-awful. The chemistry on that team is god-awful. The Sixers will never make a run. As much talent as they will ever get, they'll never make a run. They just don't have the talent. I mean, they have the talent. They just don't have the chemistry.
Dude.
They don't have the chemistry.
Do you think the chemistry
And
can
maybe
be changed
Glenn
with a new
Rose could change
coach?
that. Maybe Glenn could change that. But right now, this team has absolutely no chemistry, and that's the reason they got swept in the first round of this year's playoffs because they can't play as a team.
Well, I
They're
wouldn't
great
just say
individual
that
players.
specifically,
they can't
though.
play as a team.
They
What?
had hella injuries going into that playoff game. They were basically playing their
That doesn't-
starting lineup as their
regardless, though.
second lineup.
They weren't winning regardless. They weren't winning that series
I
regardless.
understand
Boston-
that, but we were
they
still
were
short.
injured.
Doesn't matter. You got regardless. The Sixers have no chemistry.
Okay.
If you hear reports, they
Guys
already
getting all
locked
excited
in
about
time.
chemistry
That's
because
what it
his
takes.
team makes a run last year. His team makes a run.
No, I'm saying this way before that. See, I was trying to be neutral this entire time by not even mentioning my team. But if you really want to go that route, I'm ready to go that
Here
route.
it comes.
Yo,
Here it
okay.
If you're ready to go that route,
Okay.
you ready?
Go
You wanna
ahead.
this
Talk
route?
about
Because I don't
Giannis.
wanna do this.
Talk about Giannis.
Go.
Okay.
I want to
First
hear this
off,
rant.
if
Here we
we'll
go.
go through all the teams that are better than the Sixers in the East
All right,
this
go
season.
ahead.
We obviously have Miami, one of the best young cores in the NBA.
Okay.
You have the Bucks, two-time back-to-back MVP.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm willing to argue the Pacers. I'm going in no particular order.
Cap.
Just letting you know that now. I'm not going in any particular order. The Pacers are a better, well-rounded team.
Nah.
Tell that.
They know how to play.
Yo, I didn't know I smelled a
No.
fiery
The
baseball
Nets. Okay,
cap.
all right,
Oh my
let's get
gosh,
over
is
that.
that
You don't
outside
have
the
to count
room?
that.
What?
You don't have to count that. You don't have to
Okay,
count that.
okay,
I'll
so
keep
we got-
going. I'll keep going. You
Good.
have the Nets,
Yes.
Heat, Bucks, Nets, Celtics. And again, I am willing to fight for the another team, the Raptors.
I'll say the Raptors are
The
better.
Raptors are a better team.
I
than
wouldn't
the
say that.
Sixers. And I'm willing to fight
I will
the
give-
Pacers. I'm willing to fight the Pacers. Honestly.
No.
No, the
No.
Pacers.
Yes, the Pacers.
Go back.
Yes, I'm willing to fight the Pacers.
But the Pacers, no.
All right, no, still five. Still five more teams that are better than the
I
Sixers.
wouldn't even say.
And
How could you say
if you guys-
directly that
if
the
they can't get
Raptors
the
are better than the
chemistry-
Sixers?
Yes, they are. They're a better, well-rounded
Well,
team.
They're
are you
probably
talking
both-
About
No, I'm
Ash-
talking going into this season. Going into this
oh,
season,
okay, going into the season.
all these teams are still better.
The
There's
Raptors.
no question about it. And even if they
I think
can
Toronto-
get
I think
chemistry,
Toronto's
they're not.
better.
They're barely cracking the top five. That's if they get chemistry. You have,
Well,
a guy,
I think
you have a guy who is regarded as the next LeBron James and Ben Simmons, and the guy can't even shoot more than 10 feet past the basket. He's made three-pointers in his entire five-year career.
But now,
career.
you're not. Are you taking into consideration about the people we just picked up? Now we're going into the season, and we have
Tyrese Maxey,
shooters who have the
the,
ability, like who aren't going to be
okay,
afraid to take
so
the
what?
shot.
You have two shooters that you added. That doesn't.
Because
that's
well,
not
no,
going to change anything.
here's a
Tyrese
big
Maxey
factor.
is not NBA ready yet.
When we
He's
had
not
JJ Redick,
established, not established in the NBA, so you can't say, oh, we have a shooter if he hasn't even panned out in the NBA yet. He hasn't. Played
well,
a
he's
single
already
minute.
proved himself. That's why he got
Say we have a
drafted.
shooter,
Another
he
hero.
hasn't even played a minute.
It's
Tyler
not
Hero,
like
don't
it's his first time going
Okay,
onto the
yes.
court and taking a shot.
Hey, they're from the same school.
All I'm saying is.
They're from the
It's
same.
not established yet, so you can't claim that he's going to make a difference on
I'm
this
not
team.
saying
That's
that,
all
but I'm
trying to
saying they
say.
drafted someone who's primarily based on the three-point line, so he's gonna make an impact. When we drafted
He's gonna
Ben
make
Simmons,
off the
we
bench.
knew when we
off the bench.
when we got Joel Embiid, there was a plan. When we got Ben Simmons, there was a plan of what we wanted to do as the primary attack. We're not going to pick up a guy who's a shooter and have him drive the lane every second of the day. That doesn't make
That
sense.
type of basketball is not what the NBA is now. The NBA is shooting, and if you want
Yeah.
to build your team around driving to the basket, it's not going to work. Glenn Rivers, he changed.
But you
his
still
name.
need guys.
But Glenn Rivers, if he could change the culture, maybe I'll change my mind. But right now, the Sixers will never amount to the Eastern Conference Finals. They'll never make the finals in the next 10 seasons with this core if they don't change their mentality. Because if they keep this mentality, all these teams are going to pass ahead of them. The
bold
Nets are making
take.
moves. The Nets were a joke a couple of years ago.
It's a
Now they're one of the best teams in
Bold
the East.
take,
Wait,
saying
they're one
10
of the best
years.
teams.
Let's
I'm
go
saying,
So Ben, wait. Ben, do you're saying even if they surround Ben Simmons with shooters, you don't think he could be?
I'm saying if they don't change the mentality that they have right now, they're not going to amount to anything in the East. 'Cause the
Bro,
East
I'm just saying this
is
right now. If they
that-
surrounded Ben Simmons with shooters, that man would be having triple doubles more than 7 Russ Westbrook. Like,
But if you're
I
a
agree.
point guard in the NBA, you need to be able to shoot. And Ben Simmons can't shoot. Like, how
But
are
you
you
don't.
going to build your team around a point guard who can't shoot?
a point guard is a guy who leads
Which
the point. A shooting guard is a shooter. A small forward is
Listen,
supposed to shoot
you
more
know-
than a point guard, in my mind.
Yeah, but centers, you're putting the general stereotypes on each of these positions. But the NBA has changed.
The title
Because
of the
Karl Anthony
position.
Towns out three. You have Kristaps Porzingis who's 7'3", and he's shooting from the arc. The NBA has changed, and you can't just base it on what it used to be. You have
But
to build
You said those
your
big
team around
guys.
what the NBA is becoming.
Okay,
You're building
but-
around Ben Simmons, a shooter who can, a point
You
guard who
said
can't
the
shoot.
big guys.
He's not smart.
What about Joel
a center
Embiid?
who's not conforming to what the center position should be now, who also should be able to shoot, is not happening. The Sixers are basing in the old ways, and they need to build in a new NBA. If they want to win, they have to adjust to the new NBA. But they haven't done that. They what? They have 2 shooters now? Right. Every team has at least 5 now. So
the NBA is changing, right? You brought up a good point. It's positionless basketball now, right?
yes.
If you're a guard, you don't necessarily need to be able to shoot. If you're a big, you can shoot, but the most important thing in the NBA, you need enough shooters on the floor. Ben Simmons can still be on the floor handling the ball as long as there's enough shooters on the floor.
But there aren't, and they haven't been building around that.
We
That's
recently got 4 first-round picks who all now have opportunities. Or not 4 first-round picks.
Danny Green, they drafted
Close to first.
They traded Josh Richardson for Seth Curry, who Seth Curry is
those are their 2 shooters.
top 3 in
They're a very defensive team.
They have 3 space.
The Sixers are a very defensive team. And guys like Thibault, you obviously have Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, they need to build towards more of a shooting. But, like, don't get me wrong. I'm willing to eat my words if they build around shooters. But right now, they are not doing that. And that's their problem. And that's why they're not going to win.
Hey, Presto. Hey, Presto.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
I got really heated on that because it's true. It's true.
Brooklyn's winning the title. It doesn't matter.
I think
Sixers,
Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Seth Curry don't matter. Nets in 7.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how much talent you have on this team. You have to have guys as your star player that should be able to shoot. The Nets have 2 star shooters, and KD and Kyrie.
Arguably the greatest.
Ben, are we gonna ever
A team like the Bucks, they can't shoot. That's why they didn't win.
What are we thinking about Nets Heat?
Nets Heat. I'm going Heat in 7.
Nets in 5.
Oh my goodness.
Nets in
okay.
5.
Let me say this. What did you think the Bucks series was? What did you think the Bucks series was? People thought, Bucks in 5. What happened? Heat in 5. Then we got to the final, the Eastern Conference Finals. Oh, Celtics in 6. It was Miami in 6. So I'm okay with everyone downing on this team because you know what? They always perform and they know how to win. So I'm gonna stay on that. I'm done arguing. I
don't care what anybody has to say because I know what's gonna happen. I stand by this. Not that I'm a biased fan or anything, but guess what, guys? We're all forgetting one thing here. Well, except me. No, probably Billy and Dylan. You guys did not forget about this, but Ben seems to forget about this. You remember who's Let me check my watch here, as you can see. According to the time, it says somebody's back. Oh, that's right. Kevin Durant is back on the floor, Benjamin.
Okay. But when we get Giannis, he'll be able to lock him down.
Locked?
We were able to lock down Giannis. You're telling me we can't lock down KD?
No.
Okay. All right.
Kevin Durant,
apparently Giannis was unguardable, but Bam Adebayo was easily able to keep him contained. So I'm almost confident that Bam Adebayo will be able to contain KD.
KD's a second quarter like Giannis, but can shoot it from Curry range. You don't understand that? Right. Jimmy Butler is not sticking with Kevin Durant all game.
Ben, you're going to say with the straight face you think Bam Adebayo can guard Kevin.
Bam Adebayo. Kevin Durant wants to around Bam Adebayo.
Yo, okay. Tyler Hero MVP.
Are you going to say it with a straight?
Tyler Hero MVP.
Yeah, Tyler Hero is MVP. I'm done. I'm done arguing about Sixers. I stand by
Tyrese Maxey, Rookie of the Year, 40 points a game.
I stand by the reigning Eastern Conference champions by saying that the Heat are one of the best teams in the East, if not the best.
But let's just put this into perspective. If the Nets somehow pull off a blockbuster trade and bring James Harden to the land, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. Who in their right mind in Miami is stopping all 3 of them?
Oh, don't worry. Tyler Hero can get all of them.
In that case, you have 3 ball-dominant players who aren't going to conform. They all want to be the number 1 guy.
Kevin Durant knows how to take a back seat because he took a back seat to Steph Curry, and he proved it, and he won 2 championships with it. Okay. Kyrie, Harden, you got me there. They are ball-dominant players.
Exactly.
But
The Nets are going to stop themselves at that case.
Harden's desperate for a ring. I feel like he'll learn to take a little bit of a back seat. I think Kyrie.
Have you noticed that every player that's ever played with James Harden has left? Have you noticed that? Or wants to leave? You realize that, right? You know who the problem is? It's James Harden, regardless. We have Dwight Howard, left. Chris Paul, left. Russell Westbrook wants out.
Fear the beard.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're the beard or all this, because he's a team cancer.
No, he's
There's
not.
a reason they've never won anything. Because he's the problem. As much as
He
he's
never
a
had
great
help
scorer,
around. He
a
never
great
had
scorer, he's the problem.
He never had that elite of a team with him. Clint Capella, fantastic,
Doesn't matter.
solid.
You don't need an elite team in today's NBA. You see the Heat. The Heat didn't have an elite team. They had a guy who wasn't even regarded as a top 10 player in the league.
But you have a
Jimmy
top.
Butler.
You have a top
And they didn't
five,
win anything.
top 3 coach in the league. Mike D'Antoni is just an offensive juggernaut. He doesn't know defense from if it hit him in the freaking head.
But regardless, James Harden is the problem. So whatever team he goes to, he's going to be the problem. Chemistry-wise, play-wise, he's going to be fine because he's a phenomenal scorer. He
Yeah, I
scores
don't
30
want James
points a
Harden
game.
on the,
That's what
the
teams need.
Sixers, to be honest. Like, I want him
You
because
don't
it's
want him or
James
you want
Harden, but I don't think I really want him. I think our team's already pretty solid.
The Sixers' chemistry is terrible enough. You add James Harden to it, it's going to be a dumpster fire.
Look,
Yeah,
we went
okay,
down
Mr.
this road.
Caposaurus.
We went down this
I didn't
road
know we're
before.
back into the 1600s where dinosaurs. Actually, that's a lie. I'm an idiot. 800 BC.
Wow. Do you say
Dinosaurs
Caps a lot?
pulling
Do
up.
you mean Sir Caps a lot?
You gotta go a little farther back.
You got to go way farther back.
Yeah, what is it? Is it not 800 BC? Is it like 300 BC?
Way farther.
Is it before BC?
Let's get a
2000.
Maybe
BC.
AC unit, maybe 75 degrees. I don't know.
I do want to touch on what
do we have a fact?
we ended today.
Do we have a fact?
Dylan, I want to ask you one question in particular. Are you a Knicks fan?
Yes, I'm a Knicks fan. Yes, I'm a Knicks.
So, what are your expectations for this year? Are you excited for Knicks
I'm
basketball?
putting in my application. There is some things to be excited about. I'm definitely excited to see Obi Toppin. I also was talking before. Miles Powell is a Seton Hall guy. I actually am a fan of Seton Hall basketball. So they signed him undrafted. He was the Big East Player of the Year this year. So I'm really excited to see him hopefully getting some time. And maybe they'll make a few more moves. Maybe get Russell Westbrook in here. I would like to. That would be interesting to see. But I mean, I have no expectations for the Knicks every year. I want to put in my application to become a Nets fan for the year.
Nah, but
J-E-T-S.
My
Jets.
there was one thing I wanted to ask you. Oh my goodness, I'm drawing a complete blank. Oh, like you said with Miles Powell, I feel like that's a great move by them because I obviously was a Knicks fan, but there was a player that the Knicks signed like 3 years ago that was undrafted that I thought easily could have been drafted in the first round, in my opinion. I thought he'd be a great player, and it turned out he had a great rookie season but didn't do so well last year, and that was Alonzo Trier. I was very high on him, and I was very happy that the Knicks took him and picked him up, but is he really panning out?
Who knows his role this year? Who knows Trier? Who knows what his role is going to be? I think, I really don't. I have no idea what RJ Barrett's going to look like this year. They kind of basically just cycled guards in last year, and it was whoever had the hot hand basically was taking a lot of the shots, and sometimes that was Trier, sometimes that was Barrett, sometimes that was Elfrid Payton. So the Knicks are a toss-up. It's like rolling the dice every night. So
I feel bad. I feel bad for one player in particular. I feel bad actually for Kevin Knox. You guys drafted him what? Top 10?
Yeah, I think he was a seventh overall pick.
I think 8 maybe 7.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I like Knox
at all.
I think his game doesn't translate as well as some teams thought. And that happens a lot. I think he was a one and done guy. out of Kentucky. He's got a good jump shot, but he can't really defend much. So again, the Knicks have just had a lot of first round picks the last 8 years. Frank Ntilikina to all these guys that have just been in and out. Yeah, it's tough to be a Knicks fan. Hopefully, with Leon Rose, though, we'll start to see some culture changes. Maybe get some good free agent signings in the next couple of years, and maybe they'll have a team soon.
The best gold you guys easily struck gold with Porzingis. It's just unfortunate that he didn't stay. I don't even as a Nets fan, I genuinely feel bad for the Knicks. I want to see the Knicks actually turn it around and go back to how there's some success when they had Melo and Stoudemire there. But
see, I think the Knicks and the Nets dynamic, like fans of the Knicks and the Nets actually want to see each other do well sometimes. Whereas, Mets, Yankees, no. Or Giants, Jets, no. You'd rather see them in the dirt. So I want to see the Nets do well. If they won a championship, I'd actually be excited.
I would.
Yeah, I'd want to see the Knicks actually make noise. Yeah.
The Knicks are they're at the mecca of all of New York. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. Little closing remarks. Dylan, any last things you want to say about NBA and the free agency and trades and what you're most excited for the upcoming season?
I think I'm all good. I'm excited to see what happens in the East. We'll be talking to Ben in a few months. See what's going on there.
We'll save that for last. Billy, any closing remarks?
Oh, what could I do to bash on Ben real quick to get him fired up and talk for 5 more minutes? The Heat might be one of the worst teams coming into the 2020-2021 season. It's going to be probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life and career. Second thing, the Giants. The Giants are never going to win their division. I know we're not talking about football, but the Giants are never going to win it.
Trying to fire me up.
What else is going to happen? Oh, thank you guys for coming and checking out the best talk show in the world. Under Pressure, we talk all sports, NBA, football. If you want me to talk about rugby, I'll talk about rugby. And Ben, I don't like your flannel shirt, but I love you.
It's not a flannel. It's not flannel. Button down. It's close enough. It's close enough.
Love you, Ben. Love you, Ben.
Now ask me the question, Presto. Let me answer this. Ask me the question.
So Ben, any closing remarks and what you're most excited for the upcoming season?
What I'm most excited for the NBA season? Oh, I don't know. Maybe back-to-back finals appearances from the Miami Heat, the best team in the Eastern Conference. We have everybody coming back. We're about to sign a couple new people. We're going to sign Serge Ibaka. We're going to either sign Ibaka or Danilo Gallinari, and we're going to make another push, and we're going to win it. And you know what? Sixers are terrible, and they will never amount to anything in this. And Knicks will never make a championship in the next 100 years. And the Nets' chemistry is terrible. And that's all I got to say. Miami in 4 against the Lakers 2021 NBA Finals. Simple as that. That's all I got. And also, one more thing. Check out the Extra Point. We already have episodes up on this channel, unlike some people.
Definitely go check out Extra Point. Fantastic show.
No, in all seriousness,
we have here at Walk TV. We've all been working very hard throughout.
All love. Check, this show is great. All seriousness, all love. This show is amazing. Billy and Presto have done a great job in building this show, and I'm really happy for them. That's in all seriousness.
Yeah,
we love to joke around, but actually do check out the Extra Point.
For our 3.5 viewers.
Next, but we all love each other at the same time.
Oh yeah.
If we're not gunning each other and making fun of each other's favorite teams and favorite opinions, then there's a problem, because at the end of the day, it's all love.
Yeah.
So with that being said, closing remarks. Fuck the Miami Heat. Fuck the Giants. The New York Jets, best football team in history this season. The Nets are going to win the finals next year with or without James Harden. When the Jets get Trevor Lawrence with first overall pick this year, we're going to make a run for the Super Bowl. He's going to be the next Mahomes, and the Jets are going to be done being the laughingstock of the league.